Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday here on KSL News Radio. It's Scrimmage Saturday. BYU football currently going through scrimmage. They're about to wind down. We'll have post-scrimmage reaction live. Expecting to have BYU passing game coordinator Fesi Sitake joining us in the next segment. So stay tuned for that as the Cougars going through scrimmage number 1 inside Lavelle Edwards Stadium today to close out week 2 of camp. 3 weeks from now, BYU football is going to kick off against the Portland State Vikings to kick off the 2025 season. Kickoff at 6. Pre-game coverage honestly gets going at noon with Cougar Sports Saturday. We'll have you covered on game day for the Cougs and the Vikings. Year 101 for BYU football this season, and all the action can be heard here on KSL News Radio. And when BYU kicks off against Portland State 3 weeks from today, they're going to have a number next to their name, at least in the coaches poll. As the coaches top 25 poll was released earlier this week, and I won't lie, I was a little bit surprised. BYU checked in at number 23. Cougars are going to be ranked number 23 to open the year on the coaches top 25 poll. They were one of 5 teams from the Big 12 Conference that was in the preseason coaches top 25 poll. I was impressed by that. I thought that, just the departure of Jake Retzloff and landing at Tulane, that any pollster would just drop BYU. I take the coaches poll with a little bit of grain of salt, though, more so because, let's face it, it's probably these SIDs for the coaches that are filling this out. And, hey, maybe the coaches, if they are filling it out, they love Kalani Sitake. Like, I know that sounds crazy on the surface, but that's kind of a thing. Like, go back to the day when Lavelle Edwards was, building something special for BYU football. 1984, the coaches poll then, coaches loved Lavelle, and they were respecting what Lavelle, the man, was building. Yeah, they didn't respect maybe the logo of BYU because how can this team from the WAC win a national title? There was respect for Lavelle. And I think that same can be said for Kalani Sitake. You go to these events like the Big 12 Media Day, and there's no coach speaking ill of Kalani Sitake. There's no one really. I haven't met anyone, honestly, in the media, in just college football circles where they have bad things to say about Kalani Sitake. So I think that he's building up a program that's building an identity of being a tough physical football team that also gets some good quarterback play, no matter who the guy is. Because, again, to go 11-2 last year with a quarterback that, as we all know, it was up and down. It was a mixed bag with Jake. It wasn't perfection. Jake was very good last year, but it by no means was flawless. And to still get an 11-2 season with a quarterback that had basically a pick per game, I think that, BYU finds a way to get it done regardless of the quarterback under Kalani. They've done a nice job, and over the last 5 years, BYU football has won 45 games. They're averaging 9 wins per season this decade. This isn't just a flash-in-the-pan program, but they're looking to build on that into the Big 12 and become an annual contender in this conference. Coming up a little bit later this show, we'll have Phil Steele join the program. He's going to break down BYU in 2025, his thoughts on the Big 12 Conference, kind of give that conference-wide look, perspective, and where BYU fits into the national conversation. And, Phil's another guy that has a lot of respect for Kalani Sitake. And, again, I think that's what ties into these coaches' top 25 polls. Coming up on Monday, we'll have the AP top 25 poll, which that one I think has more weight. But sometimes the media wants to boost up certain teams. I don't expect BYU to be in the AP top 25. I'd be really surprised if they're in that, because I think the media just says, oh, Jake's gone, instantly tank. Like, I will say, I think that I would say, a game or two difference maybe. With Jake, I would have said, 9-3. With this new quarterback, I'd still say the low end 7-5. Which still, you could still be a better football team than last year. It's just the margins are so thin in the Big 12. That's the thing we got to remember, too, is that you could be a better football team at 8-4 this year than what you were last season, but because, again, the margins are thin in the Big 12, you might say, oh, that was a step back. Like, I think there's nuance there to that, but I don't expect the AP Top 25 pollsters to have BYU, but we shall see. And these polls do matter, as even though they're frustrating and they're infuriating. And honestly, I hope we get to a point where preseason polls don't exist in this sport, because I do think narratives get formed because of these things. But when you are in it, it helps the narrative. And let's call it what it is. It helps the perception and the starting point to go achieve your goals with that. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get BYU passing game coordinator Fesi Sitake next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.